mute everybody, please?
I certainly will.
And do we have a flag?
Let me, I got some things in the way of what I can see. Where's my camera? There's another flag. Good job. Rob, you're muted.
All right, well, I'll go ahead and do it here, so let's get started. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And if you would, please bow your heads and join me in a moment of prayer and reflection. As we gather here together as members of Rotary, we pray that we are ever mindful of opportunities to render our service to fellow citizens and to our community. We stay focused on the objectives we have for the world: peace, tranquility, a true brotherhood of man, freedom from hunger, from oppression, from sickness, the freedom to choose our own destinies. Keep in mind always the enduring values of life, exerting our efforts in those areas and on those things upon which which future generations can build with confidence. Let us continue to strive to make a better world. Amen. All right, well, welcome everybody. Good to see our newest member, and exciting that we get to induct another member. So it's kind of neat that even during the times like this, we're continue to add members. And I think Jay brought to our attention, or to my attention last week, that we are the fastest growing club in the whole district. So well done. And of course, big thank you to Stan, our membership chair, for leading those efforts. And yeah, we're number one. Good to see Chief Tally. He's gonna be giving us a presentation today. So a couple quick announcements. I wanted to just remind everyone that we are on track to meet in person next week at the Beachside Bistro. As far as what that's gonna look like, how that's gonna work, we'll send out some communication with some more specifics. We're going to have a board meeting tonight or tomorrow night. Still waiting on a few more people to respond so I can have a majority. But we are going to still kind of figuring out what that's going to look like, and especially what the strategy going forward is going to be as to how we'll meet in person. I wanted to just do a quick little straw poll of the people who are on the call today. Just raise your hand if you plan on attending that meeting next week. Okay, so we got about 5-6 people there. Yeah. Okay, good.
What is the date?
It's next Wednesday, which is going to be the 24th, 25th. Yeah. 24th.
Okay.
So yeah, and again, we'll kind of send out some clarification about you know, what we'll need. I think we'll all need to kind of maintain some distance and probably wear masks. I don't know, maybe not while we're eating, obviously, but we'll work all the details out. I don't know if I myself will be there. My wife's due date is the 25th of June, so we're kind of on high alert right now. But if I'm not there, Jay will take over my duties, and we'll be handing off pretty shortly here anyway for the new year. So I don't think we have any guests today, but we do have a new member that we are going to go ahead and induct today. So let's take care of that. let me pull up my, here we go. So, fellow Rotarians, it is the duty of our Rotary Club to add new members from time to time so that we may not only increase our usefulness and influence as a club, but also to extend the spirit of Rotary throughout the community. Today, I welcome to our ranks and admit to membership Kim Sawyer. Rotarian Kim, you have been elected to membership in this club because your fellow members believe you to be a worthy representative of your calling and also to possess qualities that will permit you to exemplify the true spirit of Rotary in your public, business, social, and private life. I wish to impress upon you that you have been admitted not only to the Rotary Club of First Flight, but to a worldwide association. And by virtue of your membership in this club, you will be welcomed into the fellowship of any Rotary Club in the world. The honor and privilege of Rotary membership carries with it duties and obligations. You will be expected to attend the club's meetings regularly, to perform your share of club service, and to place your knowledge and talents at the disposal of the club in its tasks of carrying the principles of Rotary into the daily life of the community. Rotarian Kim, in the name of the Rotary Club of First Flight, I now formally admit you to membership in this club. Normally, I would affix to your lapel our emblem, but we'll have to get that to you at a later date. Fellow Rotarians, I commend to you our newest member, Rotarian Kim Sawyer, and I ask all members to welcome her.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
Welcome to the crazy game, Kim.
Thank you. Oh,
Yes, and I think Kim is probably our first real fully virtual member. Tamron is another virtual member, but we've seen her for we've seen her before.
That's how you say that. Come on.
She's no stranger to Rotary, so but it's neat that we're still able to add members during this time again. So glad to have both of you on board. Let's see, what else? I don't know. Am I missing anything? Any other announcements anybody needs to make to the club?
I don't have any.
Okay. I think, so next week we'll be meeting in person. The week after is kind of July 4th. So I think we'll go ahead and take that week off. It will officially be the 1st of July, but we'll go ahead and meet the week after. So then that will give us a little bit of time to figure out how successful the in-person meeting was, and if we want to continue with that going forward. How about any happy dollars? Anybody happy today? Make sure you unmute yourself if you want to speak up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Happy to have Kimberly on board. It's exciting to always add to the club, and looking for her ideas on how she's going to help us change the world. So good job. Yeah, you.
I am happy because today is the 122nd birthday of the U.S. Navy Hospital Corps.
Oh, wow.
Excellent.
Well, I guess I got a few happy dollars. One is that we've got a new puppy in the house, and she's great, and we love her. Number two is for Kim and for Tamron. It's great to have you guys here and to come on, as Rob said, during a time when it's challenging at best to hold a meeting. The third is for Stan. Thanks for beating me to the punch, because right about the time you started talking, Jonathan came in and started peeing in the background. So I was able to mute myself so y'all didn't have to live through all that. So maybe that's a couple dollars. I don't know.
Now I'm really happy.
Yeah.
that I don't.
We're all happy. I do want to mention now that speaking of changing the world, there is a virtual Rotary Peace Conference coming up. I saw this morning on June 27th, and it was really interesting. The whole theme is about how we imagine the world after the Great Pause. And I think that's the first time I've heard that term, the Great Pause. But it's something that kind of struck me, and it seems to make a lot of sense for some of the things we're going through. This time that we've had, in a way, has given us an opportunity to sort of revisit a lot of maybe old wounds as a country, and maybe in our personal lives, spend some time where we're normally distracted by life and things to do, and now we're more focused on our own minds, and then giving us an opportunity to rethink what we want our world to look like and what we want it to be when we all come out of this. And it's not so much about returning to normal, but creating a new world, a new vision for what the future looks like. So it's June 27th, I believe. Rotary, I'm sure you can find some information on Rotary.org, but it was the Rotary Peace Conference. And it seems like it's going to be a really interesting one this year. So I might try to look into that myself if I have a moment. So check that out if you're interested. So let's go ahead and get to our program today. So Chief Tally, it's been a while since we've seen you, Chief. I'm sure you got a lot going on right now. We're in the heat of the season, all kinds of new things I'm sure going on, and we're excited to hear about it, man. I appreciate you taking some time out to join us today.
Yes, sir. First of all, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Well, it's good to see you guys and hear from you. I certainly can't wait until we all can get to meeting again as normal, if we ever do get back to something like that, a new normal. Today, there's a couple things. We're going to kind of bounce around a couple different things, but one, I just want to go over how we started our season, where we are now in our season, and our plans going forward, and really looking at how we're dealing with this pandemic. The other thing I want to talk about, some alarming data in terms of fire safety that I think that's really not being highlighted. And the other, I want to introduce my ocean rescue director is going to go over some ocean rescue safety guidelines. And all of this is in efforts that we reach out and network and spread some of this message around. So our season, we started early this year in light of the pandemic. We brought in our ocean rescue, or at least part of our ocean rescue folks, to try to get a head start on how we're going to deal with the beaches. Our aim was trying to take a community risk reduction approach and try to educate and encourage folks to follow the recommendations. Okay. So we brought folks on. We were monitoring the beaches. We had a mobile crews that were going up and down the beach. And anytime that we saw folks that weren't following recommendations, we would encourage them to follow them, or educate them on what the recommendations are. The encouraging thing was that people were staying positive, and they would actually follow the recommendations. And if they were in large groups, they would disperse. So that was encouraging, and that was all happening prior to the bridge opening. At this point, the bridge is open. We're still continuing to do the same thing and encouraging folks to follow the recommendations, and in large part they are. So that is encouraging. Now, that's not to say that we have days where we find large groups and there's people that are not practicing social distancing, but our ocean rescue personnel are doing a great job engaging, making or reemphasizing the recommendations, and really people are staying positive and trying to follow those orders. So that's encouraging. So I hope that remains that way. And I hope that we can really keep these numbers down. So I guess in terms of fire safety, there's been some alarming trends, I guess, over the last decade, and it's really hitting North Carolina pretty hard, is the number of fire deaths and the number of fire injuries resulting from house fires. We were above average nationwide in North Carolina. The numbers of deaths, I guess, nationwide really has gone up nearly 25%. And that's a big number. That's a big jump. And I don't know if you guys have are aware that we lost 2 people here in the last couple of weeks in Kildova Hills. In Dare County, we've kind of been fortunate in terms of injuries and deaths, but in terms of fire losses, we've been very high. So we're trying to collectively grow in terms of a public safety and trying to reduce some of those numbers and get ahead of this. But I can tell you there's a common trend that we see, and it's people not taking their own time to prepare for these things. So just to give you an idea on smoke alarms, out of all the fires in the nation, there's only about 30 operating smoke alarms in these fires that are occurring. Okay, and that's a really low number. Okay, given that most smoke alarms these days are actually given for free and installed by the local jurisdictions. So there's programs out there. We can get these installed, and they really do make a difference. So that's something that there's 2 things. One is smoke alarms and one's fire extinguishers. Having a home fire extinguisher is critical, and it's so easy. You can go to Home Depot or Lowe's and buy one. They're relatively inexpensive, and they make a big difference. The one thing that we're still troubling to get ahead of, or it's the time issue. In the Outer Banks, we really struggle with getting the effective amount of personnel to a scene in the right amount of time. So we're getting better, but we're still working at it. Just to let you know that a big part of the fire deaths has to do with how fast a house burns now. So UL just did a study last year, and compared to 10 years ago, an average home will burn 8 times faster than it did 10 years ago. Okay. So 10 years ago, they used to say that a fire will double in size in 60 seconds. So if you do the math, you're talking less than 10 seconds, a room that's on fire will be 2 rooms on fire. Okay. Our average response time here in the Outer Banks is anywhere from 8 to 10 minutes. That's why we're suffering a lot of fire damage. Okay. Because the fire is well advanced even when we get there. A lot of this has to do with a lot of the fuels that we have in our homes. And I don't know if you really pay attention to it, but there's so much plastic. And this plastic, once it heats, it's basically just gasoline. And it really gets going fast. And it makes our job a lot harder. So we're really trying to up our game and trying to get there faster, but it helps when people have either an operating smoke alarm or they have an extinguisher that actually knock down the fire a little bit so that it gives us more time to get there and do our job. Any questions at all about any of that? Anybody got any questions?
Yes.
No? Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, this is Stan Keeler. I got a question. I know there's programs for smoke alarms. Are there any programs for fire extinguishers in our area?
No. It's a lot harder for us to get the fire extinguishers than it is smoke alarms. There's a lot of grants out there, and there's a lot of companies like Lowe's and Home Depot that work with the fire departments and help get large numbers of those smoke alarms to us so that we can go out and install them. Now, one of the things that I was troubled with my first year here was we did a smoke alarm program, and I couldn't get anybody in Kitty Hawk to even try to put in for a smoke alarm. We didn't have anybody that wanted one, so I thought that was kind of strange. Because where I come from, up in Tidewater area, we would deliver them almost on a daily basis and install them for folks in our community. So that's something that we're still going to put out there. I think it's critically important. If folks can't get it themselves, we will certainly be there to assist them in getting one and installing them. Anybody else got a question?
Mike,
All
it
right, so what I'm gonna do
sounds like you might need to do some advertising for that program.
Yeah, we put it out on our newsletter, and usually twice a year we try to put something out, or we put something out on our in front of our firehouse. This past year, we really didn't make a big push on it just because of the low numbers. We weren't getting any response whatsoever. So we're going to make another push here coming up in the fall, and we're going to see how that goes. So if nobody has anything else, I'm going to go ahead and get my ocean rescue director for Kitty Hawk Fire Rescue. You can stand by 1 second. Okay, this is Cole Yates, and he is a captain, but he's our ocean rescue director, and he's just going to go over some safety stuff as it relates to beach safety.
Hi, everybody. This is my first time doing it via Zoom, I believe, and so if I sound funny, I apologize, but I'm happy to do public education. It's something that we take very seriously, and it's our number one mission in helping keeping the beaches safe on the Outer Banks. Obviously, this year we have been challenged with due to the fact with numbers and sizes and groups. For example, in years past up to this year, we would do orientations, meetings, and they actually do direct public safety, dealing with the ocean to the folks at Seascape. So we could do a question and answer and also directly talk to them about rip currents and ocean safety and the hazards they would encounter when they visit our beaches. As y'all know, that's why the attractions here. And one thing is what we try to do, and all the agencies down here, is try to get people to be what I like to refer to as being beach smart. And what does that mean? It means matching that person's true ability to the true ocean hazard. And we try to do that in a layering system from obviously direct contact when we had the things at Seascape, to our advisories, to our walkovers that do rip current education, and of course to our front lines that are the actual guards and that are out on the beach that make personal contacts with them to directly point out safety issues, daily forecasts, and hazards. And just on average, there'll be over 1,200 ocean-related rescues, with rip currents primarily being the number one hazard, causing over half of those. One thing that initiated last year as a group, because we worked with the National Weather Service, and that's what I'm really probably promoting here today, especially since we don't have as much direct contact, is an indirect means of letting people be educated about the ocean conditions prior to coming to the beach so they can better prepare themselves for that condition. And that was that program that we initiated with Emergency Management and National Weather Service, which was Love the Beach and Respect the Ocean. And with doing that, we've met collectively for over a decade, probably longer, in the springtime to look at ways and avenues that, once again, we can educate everybody from our locals to our neighboring communities to people that are coming down from other states. So when they get here, they have a means of getting like that daily forecast. And like I said, those partners with National Weather Service, NOAA, Sea Grant, and all of them have been invaluable. And one of the things, like I said, with that Love That Beach, Respect the Ocean, and if you were already joined up, you would know that we use that on a daily basis. And for example, today, we actually have a website that we can go to, and by email or by text to your phone, you can actually get daily conditions prior to actually entering the beach, or as you're not even before you even left home. For example, like today in the town of Kitty Hawk, we sent a text alert out to all Kitty Hawk beachgoers that red flags are posted, no swimming, and that there is high hazard of rip currents and dangerous surf. So once again, the people can prepare themselves for what they're going to encounter for going out there. They don't have to just wait to do it themselves. Once again, that is that outcasting reach, and I really support this program. Just so you know, if you're not a member yet and you would like to be, it is actually to join the Outer Banks Beach Conditions. If you enter the number 30890, and I'm going to repeat that, 30890, you can join that. And then you can actually get the forecasts for all the beaches up and along the Outer Banks. For example, if you were going to go like south of Oregon Inlet, they also do advisory that is from north of Oregon Inlet to Corolla, and from Oregon Inlet south to Ocracoke. So once again, even if you're traveling along the Outer Banks, you will get the daily forecast because they are different from our north and south facing beaches. So obviously these are some of the things that we have done to try to once again educate the people, also with the challenges we face today. Once again, to make contact with them, and still be 6 feet apart. So does anybody have any questions about that program?
So do you text something to that 30890?
I'm actually going to, I'm going to put the flyer thing here where it says join Outer Banks Beach Conditions. I guess it's text to 30890. And how should I get into the ocean today? And I'm assuming the camera is up. Okay, but it's 30890, and it's the text to join. So yes, that is a text to join thing. And you can also, just so y'all know, you can also text out for some reason, and that's for the people that come and maybe from other states, and hopefully they want to hear what our conditions are daily because they're that in love with the Outer Banks that they want to come back, and that's a reminder to come back and visit us. But you can elect to text out and text to join back in again. So yes, that number is 30890. And they've also done that campaign, as I'm sure y'all seen on our local radio stations, and also public safety, which is that Love the Beach, Respect the Ocean, where they had done the videos to do all that to make, once again, the highlight. I know that, to highlight those programs and get people aware of the ocean conditions, because that's one of the things I've realized doing this in 20 years here on the Outer Banks is that, in all honesty, everybody knows to swim parallel to the ocean. And I always laughed when I was a young boy. I realized that it was, my mom taught me that, and all that, but I didn't know why. And once again, we go into all this, and we know approximately 10 people will drown due to rip currents on the Outer Banks on an annual basis. And it's been my campaign since I've been here, and it still is, and it'll probably be all the way, even in retirement and on, so is that I view it as, if we can teach, as Paul Harvey used to say, why this is happening to them, to give them experiences and also make them, once again, beach smart so they understand what's happening to them. If they would just, understand that it's an outflow of water based off of bathymetry, which is just the word for topography of the ocean floor. And that's what's happening if they would stop and float and then follow those things out. And also know that some days, it's not wise to go out. And so once again, these educational campaigns, anytime we can make them more aware and conscious of ocean conditions, they can make better judgments and have a better day. Because our goal for all public safety on Outer Banks is that everybody who steps on that beach walks off with a smile on their face.
A question. As far as red flags are concerned, I was on our beach in Corolla a couple of years ago, probably now, but red flags were up and there were surfers in the water, and the lifeguard told me that the red flags didn't apply to them.
That is correct. And each town has their own ordinances, to include the National Park Service dealing with red flag ordinances. Just for example, here in the town of Kitty Hawk, it's actually punishable by a $250 fine. And other towns don't have fines as recommendations. But I will say predominantly along all the jurisdictions that surfers that have a leash attached to them are exempt to that ordinance. And it just makes sense, once again, because the one is they have a flotation that's attached to them, a lot of times that is the conditions. And we do have pro surfers on the Outer Banks, and those are the conditions that they want to go into. I will say on a personal level that if we see somebody that's above their ability, we're going to pull them in, talk to them, and tell them this is not a day to learn. That obviously, you know, there's better days to do that, and that the ocean is dangerous for inexperienced people, to include surfers.
Okay, thank you.
I'm just curious, as far as that system goes, do you have any scope of how many members you have that are signed up to receive those text alerts?
I do, and that's actually, I'm sorry to cut you off there, but we do. Drew Pearson, who's the emergency manager for Dare County, he actually, now you have to realize this, I'm taking this from a number that I got last year, and I'm trying to recollect. I know I'm not going to be accurate. I want to say somewhere in the neighborhood of like 30,000 people had joined. I'm sure that it's more and all that, but to get an accurate number on that, it is Drew Pearson. He is the manager of the program and the coordinator of that program. Like for example, today I have access to once again disseminate information through that. And he also does it like, you might, if you were joining that group last night with the flash flood warnings, they had something along with that. So it's not just ocean hazards, it's also all weather hazards and communications. But it's actually a very impressive number when we looked at that. And that's one thing we were evaluating this, that we're like, what is our outreach doing? And it's actually a very good outreach. And, but once again, I don't have up-to-date accurate numbers, but I do know the program is going well.
Yeah, that's impressive. I mean, that's about at least half the population, if not more.
Right, exactly. And I'll tell you, a lot of them are tourists, you know, and that's a good thing, because once again, you know, that these people are getting information and they don't have the experience, you know, of the people that live locally that see the ocean change from day to day, and understand like what we just had. We had that stall of that low pressure system that we had sustained 15 to 30 mile an hour winds. And of course the ocean is going to build up and it's going to be dangerous to surf and all that. And I'll just tell you this morning when I went out there interfacing with the public, because obviously it's a beautiful day out, but there's a high hazard, it's dangerous surf conditions, and they want to get in the water. They're anxious to get in there. And I have to, you know, once again, let them know that, hey, this is a hazard, and that if you were here last week, the ocean was actually very calm. It was very beautiful. And they don't understand that literally week by week, they don't see the transition and weather patterns that produce dangerous surf and dangerous conditions where, you know, obviously our local people have the luxury and honestly benefit of doing that. We're very fortunate in the fact that we get to experience this 365 days a year. But honestly, if I had my way, every person that was living in Dare County would use this group to get accurate information on what's going on. And because once again, it's a great public address system.
Cool. Absolutely.
Okay. No other questions for Cole?
No, great job.
Yeah, I really appreciate you guys.
Real quick, if I could just follow up on. Okay. What I challenge everybody to do is what we try to do every encounter we have in somebody's home is to actually, for whatever reason we're there, just to help them get off the floor, for a patient assist, we go through their house and we look to see if they have operating smoke alarms. So I ask you to when you go into your friends, your loved ones, your family's homes, look at their smoke alarms. Ask how old they are. Is the battery working? Hit the button. Make sure you test it and see if it works. If it doesn't, you can either run up to the Home Depot or Lowe's and get one, or you can contact your local fire department, and I assure you that they have a program in place that they can take care of those. Okay. So I challenge you to do that and spread that word to make sure that everybody has an operating smoke alarm in their house.
Yeah, I might have to take you up on that, Mike, because the new house that we moved into last year has those hardwired smoke alarms. And last year, one of them started going off, and I could not get it to shut off. And I finally just ripped it out of the wall, meaning to replace it, and I have yet to do so. So and
well,
those
they
ones
have a battery of. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say those ones seem kind of tricky to install because you gotta hook it up and plug it in? And I mean, do you guys help with that kind of stuff too, or is it just sort of the standard smoke alarms?
Yeah, just the standard smoke alarms, and it's the ones that we try to get, and I think the ones that they're only manufacturing now are ones that you can't change the battery. It's basically they're good for 10 years and then you throw them away. And that's how a lot of the products are being made now. And that's to avoid having detectors that are, getting 10 plus years and become non-functional. So when the battery goes, and those are really long batteries, long life batteries, once they go, then you get rid of the whole device. So those are the ones that are predominantly being sold now. The ones you're talking about, hardwired, if you're going to replace those in terms of or adding them or deleting them, you got to probably bring an electrician to make any changes are necessary. Now, those devices as well have a battery backup in case you lose power. They remain functional due to power outage on battery power. So when it's beeping, it's probably because of that battery is bad in it.
Yeah, I've replaced the battery twice. I could not, the thing would not shut up. So
it's probably the age, and it's probably
Yeah.
ready to be replaced. Anything else, guys?
Great program.
Yeah, thanks, Mike.
Yes, sir.
All right. So let's see. Anybody else have any announcements or anything else for the good of the group before we adjourn?
Yeah, I just want to mention getting hold of the a person in the Chilliwack city government, the maintenance division, looking for small projects for the club, things that we can do around town. We can get our hands a little dirty. So if you guys know of anything that you see or talking to your friends and acquaintances that can use a little muscle, talk about it, because we've done a lot of things. We built the bike racks for what one of the parks Nag said, trails or somewhere, and we've done some little projects like that they can make a difference and make our parks and public areas a little better to be around. So we got a lot of public areas in our villages here that we can enhance a little bit at a time. So think about that, so we can get out and get together as a group doing something.
Yeah, you bring up some good ideas there, and something to think about too is I know a lot of the local municipal budgets are going to be really strapped here in the coming year. So maybe they do need a little extra help in taking care of some of these public spaces. All right. Well.
Hey, Rob.
Yes.
Do we need to have a firm number for next week's meeting? Maybe you want to put an email out?
Probably. Yes. That needs to be discussed, I think. So board members will talk about that tonight. Yeah.
I'm sorry. Okay. Sorry.
Yeah. I think we've got kind of an informal straw poll today, but I think there is a minimum in order to make it financially viable. But Terrence, do you have anything to add there?
Yeah, Rob, the minimum I think is 18 people. So we have to pay for 18 meals.
Regardless.
No, we have 18 people there.
Yeah. Yeah, and maybe if we know ahead of time, they could be more accommodating for us. But let's discuss that tonight at the board meeting. Are you going to be able to join us tonight, Kearns? Or
I am.
Okay, cool. All right. Well, let's go ahead and conclude with the four-way test. So, of the things we think, say, or do. First, is it the truth? Second, is it fair to all concerned? Third, will it build goodwill and better friendships? And fourth, will it be beneficial to all concerned? And let's adjourn with our motto, service above self.
Congratulations, Ken.
And I recorded this meeting, and I'll put a link out tomorrow. It takes a little while to get it downloaded and then uploaded and all that stuff.
Oh,
Nice. So we can see who was paying attention or not.
Right. Yeah, there'll be a test.
How's Carl doing? Anybody know?
Oh, I did get an email from Carl, and today is his first doctor visit since his injury or getting out of the hospital. He's he said he shouldn't. I sent him cards, and he thanked me by email. Around like he's walking outside. So
I know he was busy making sure we got our district grant paperwork in and chasing me down for signatures. So he must be feeling a little bit better.
Back, and he says he feels better, and he hopes it's because he's healing and not just the drugs.
Nice.
Most of us have been.
Dan, has Dick been on since we changed the link?
No, this is the first week of the change in link. I'm going to give him a call.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Well,
I appreciate
bye,
it.
guys. My computer's dying. We'll see you next week, maybe.
Take care, guys.